Welcome to twoquestions.tv. Today I'm wrapping up the year with the show, and I'm talking about next year, what my goals are, what's planned, who's coming on the show in January, and a lot more. Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan baroncini-moe. Well, it's the end, not the end of our first year. We haven't hit a year yet. It's the end of the first calendar year when twoquestions.tv has been alive. And so I thought, since I have been talking to you on the show about wrapping up your year, creating plans and goals for the new year, I thought I'd show you what that looks like in my own way, with my own goals and with the show. And I'd also tell you a little preview of who's coming in January. Now, we started the show in September. It really got ramped up in October as a 5-day-a-week show. And my fears around the show were feeling comfortable, knowing what I was doing, making sure I had the right equipment. And I didn't feel comfortable at the beginning. I was nervous a lot, and it didn't take very long for me to feel comfortable. And now I'm really happy that I have this new space in my office that's a little more interesting to look at, maybe. I'm very happy that I figured out the format quickly and the show improved quickly. And I feel like I've really hit a rhythm. I didn't expect that the show would do as well as it has with guests. We've had some very impressive people on the show. We're booking interviews 3 months ahead. I'm booking interviews in March, and the show is actually, I do the interviews well in advance. So I actually have guests all the way through April or May, I think. And so I could actually finish today's show with, here's who's coming in January, February, March, April, May. But I don't want to do that because I want you to stay tuned. And so I'm only going to tell you who's coming in January. I think that we've had a really fantastic response from business owners, authors, experts, publishers, and I'm very excited about that. I think that's really a good thing, and it means that I'll be able to keep the caliber of the guests very high. I feel like in the grand scheme of things, views for the show have been fantastic, and we've had a lot more views and subscribers than most shows do this early on. Granted, today is like my 90th show, I think. But that's still only just a few short months, right? It's October, November, December. That's only 3 months. And so in 3 months, we've done very well to have a consistent audience. And I think that's because I've been building an audience for a really long time. And I hope it's also because we're providing a lot of value and interesting content in each show. And that's really my goal, is for the show to be educational, informative, entertaining, and useful. And so I hope that it has been that, and I hope it continues to be that. That's really what I set out to achieve, and that's what I hope for. So I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned that planning makes for a much better show. Early in the show, I just sort of planned to go outside and talk about a topic. And I've learned that it works much better to plan a topic, have a bit of an outline, especially now that I kind of know what I'm doing. I have learned that equipment is not everything. Equipment was a big concern when I was first starting, and I still want to upgrade pretty much everything. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. The only thing I'm not thrilled about is that in this office, this is my office in my home, and in this office, there is a very annoying heating / air conditioning vent on the wall over there. And you can hear it on the show sometimes. And I think you will continue to hear that until I have a better mic. I have a pretty good mic. This is my mic. It's pretty good. It's a Yeti. It's a pretty good mic. And it's serviceable. It does what it's supposed to do, but there is a better mic out there for me. And I am excited about the future and perhaps upgrading that and upgrading a camera. I have a camera I want to use, but it requires an interface in between the camera and the computer. And so really that's something that I had to learn about and understand. And so, the quality is fine for now, but we're going to upgrade in the new year. So the show takes a lot of time. It's very rewarding. I love doing it. I mean, I love it. I love it so much. We did get systems set up early on, and that was a big thing that I learned. Was having systems and the right support was very important to the success of the show, and to be able to keep things organized and knowing when, who's coming and when, and so that I can be prepared, have questions ready, and books read. Because you guys, I read every book for everyone who comes on this show. So if you've written a book and you're on this show, I've read your book, and I do that for a reason. When I wrote my book, I went on a lot of shows and nobody had read my book, and the questions were all the same. And I felt like you can find those interviews anywhere, but when you read a book, when you actually dive into it and really get into what the author has written and is talking about in their full message, you can ask better questions. So I think that's important. And so that's part of why the show takes a lot of time. By the way, did you hear that? That's my air conditioning vent. So annoying. So the systems that we set up early on, at first I was just scheduling people whenever I had free time. And quickly I realized that it really wasn't a wise use of time. So I set up a system whereby now I actually do most of my interviews on 2 or 3 days out of the month. So an entire day gets booked with interviews, like 8 or 10 interviews in one day. And so I sit here, I do an interview, I run to my bedroom and I change my top and my jewelry, and I come back and I do another interview, and then I run back to my bedroom and I change my clothes. And the reason I change is because I don't want every show to look the same. I don't want you to get bored. So just keep pretending those are all different days. That's fine. That's a little behind the scenes secret for you from twoquestions.tv. As a host, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning that when I have shows like this, I want to stop saying so much, because when I watch them back, I realize, whoa, I say it a lot. And I really want to stop saying it so much. I've also learned that my job as host isn't just to ask good questions. It is also to make my guests feel comfortable and safe. Everybody's not comfortable on camera, and sometimes I forget that, and I have to work really hard at making my guests feel super comfortable. A lot of people are super used to these kinds of shows, but many of my guests are not. Many of my guests are more accustomed to podcasts and phone interviews, and they're just not really used to being on camera. And so I think everyone has done phenomenally well. And I think the thing I'm going to continue to work on is just making sure they're feeling comfortable right away before we jump into anything. And that's a big piece of it. So for next year, my goals already in the works. My most exciting goal is we're launching the show as a podcast so that you can take it with you. So if you don't have time to get into YouTube, or you want to listen while you're driving, or you're working out, or you just don't dig YouTube, that's okay. We're going to have the show available as a podcast. So I'll, of course, when that happens, I'll let you know how to find it. It'll likely be on iTunes, maybe some other places. And the great thing is, if all goes as planned, it'll be the entire show. So backlog of all the episodes we've already done. A lot of work to get there, but that's in the works. We're planning on that. Okay. I'm also hoping the show will find a sponsor so that it pays for itself. And so we can do some of those fun upgrades of equipment and make the show even better in post-production. I'm hoping that we'll have a little syndication so we can expand the audience and reach more people, help more people. And I want to continue to get fantastic guests and continue to build great relationships. There's some fantastic firms and publishers that send me guests. And also the guests themselves are fantastic resources for us to continue to have great knowledge from them. And a lot of them are doing new work that's coming out in the spring. And so I'm actually planning on bringing some folks back to talk about their new work and about what's coming out now. And I think that's a wonderful source of education for our audience and for you. And I also think that we're going to have a couple of people who are going to be recurring regular guests. So maybe once a month I have some discussions happening, because there's some topics that I want to make sure we cover every month. and that we really dive in and that you have some familiar faces on the show. So that's something we'll be doing. Another big goal for me for the new year is to figure out the secret sauce for getting you, my viewer, to talk to me. I want to improve engagement. I want you to suggest your favorite authors and connect with me and comment and share your feedback, because your feedback will only help me to improve my style, my work, as well as improve the show. So I would love to hear more from you. And if you have suggestions for how I can get you to communicate more with me, I would love it. And I think that would be fantastic. Okay, let's talk about who's coming up in January. As you know, this can change at any time, but so far it's looking like our lineup is going to include the following guests. Mitch Matthews is one of my favorite people, and he's coming to talk about dreaming big and what he does, which is called the Big Dream Gathering. Also coming up is Sheila Elias. She's an artist, and we're going to talk a little bit about what it is about being artsy and creative and how we can get people more involved in that, because it's so good for your brain, so good for downtime, just generally good for you. Also coming on the show is Michael Welp, and we're going to talk about a really interesting, complex issue, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and how you can, as a leader, help your work environment to become more inclusive. We're going to have Catherine Arnston. She's the CEO of Energy Bits, and she's going to talk about being a woman business owner. We also talked a lot about algae, which is interesting. Rena Plaffler is coming on the show. This is her book, Brand Intimacy, and we're talking about what brands really need to be doing right now to evolve. And Ellen Petrie-Lenz is coming to talk about her book, The Happiness Hack. Y'all want to be happier. Sylvie DiGiusto will be coming to talk about the image of leadership. We're going to talk about packaging yourself for the job you want, packaging yourself to grow as a leader, grow as an executive. Toby Stein's coming to talk about her book, Leadership in the Performing Arts. And I think that's going to be a great show for those of you who are in nonprofits and who are leading arts organizations. We're going to have Ninja Warrior Jamie Ron on the show. He'll be talking about his experiences and how exercise impacts his brain. You know, I'm big on that. We'll have Nordy Cohen here. He's going to talk about his book, The Participation Game. Very excited about this. This is a great book. And we're going to have Payush Patel talking about his book, Lead Your Tribe, Love Your Work, getting back to that important culture piece, right? And also, Andrea Brandt's going to be talking about her book, Mindful Aging. And, you know, we got to start thinking about it. I'm 45. This book is about embracing life after 50. It's never too early to plan. And of course, we're going to have some fantastic entrepreneurs and business owners. And I'll be rounding out the show with a few key topics for your growth in leadership. Plus, our 100th show will be this month. So exciting. So don't miss any of this. Be here for this show. And the year is going to be so exciting. This month is going to be exciting. And I'm excited to share it with you. So thank you for making the last quarter of this past year so exciting as we started the show, and for making the show a success. And thank you in advance for coming with me into the new year. Don't forget to join me January 1st. We're going to talk about getting our new year going, planning goals, and planning strategies to achieve those goals. So don't miss it. Come with me, join me for this new year, and launch this new year with me with some really good plans, okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.